This story takes place about a year ago when I found myself in a rather precarious financial situation. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it means I was broke and I needed to find a way to make money and fast. So as I scrolled through the various options, some of them just didn't connect. And as I was just about to give up and go bust it open in the street for a couple of nickels, the Lord opened the heavens and bestowed upon me an incredible opportunity in the form of freelancing. Now, for those of you who don't know what freelancing is, it's basically when you provide a service to a customer independently instead of working for someone else. So like, basically you're your own boss, or at least that's what they want you to think. Hey Okapi, how'd you come in contact with customers? Why, I'm so glad you asked, my child. The answer is quite simple. The internet! There is a plethora of freelancing sites available on the internet that forms a digital marketplace, bringing together buyers and sellers from across the world, all for the low cost of a fraction of your income. Now, I'm not going to name and shame any platforms, but there are a few that charge you actual money to acquire credits that allow you to get in contact with clients. Do with that information what you will. So me, being the poor, desperate, and barely educated individual that I am, was in desperate search of a way to make money through my talents. That being animation and illustration, without the need of a pesky degree or doctorate or any other form of certification that was a signal to the system that I was broken in and ripe and ready for the taking. So as I'd begun my freelancing journey, I encountered nothing. Radio silence. For months, I was just sitting at my dad's busted old laptop, refreshing the pages to see if I got any notifications. Until one fateful day, where I got a reply for a job application. It was a media company looking for an animator for a YouTube channel it started in the Why It Sucks niche. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this niche, allow me to enlighten you. Recently, there has been a surge of YouTube channels, particularly animation channels, that make videos about why it sucks to be XYZ on YouTube. Now, I'm not entirely sure who started it, but it managed to find success on the platform and spread like wildfire. And I was tasked with the job of not only animating the videos, but editing them, adding sound effects, syncing the audio, and illustrating the thumbnails, all for the eye-popping, vein-bulging price of $80. Minus tax. Not to mention, all these videos were about 10 minutes long each, and I had to make a new video each week. Initially, I was full of energy and enthusiasm, but not to make animations, no. It was to make money. Moolah. Cash. Dinero. I only saw green. But alas, I was so blinded by my lust for loot that I failed to recognize the difficulties that would arise on the job. The first of which being the workload. It was a lot. When I started animating, I was told that the animation would actually be mainly animatics with the occasional 3-second animated segments. And being someone who has made many an animation, I thought, animatics? Psh, cake. But I severely underestimated just how much work goes into making an animatic. Fully colored, with the occasional background. Throwing syncing sound effects and the voiceover all to be completed within the span of a week, and that was enough self-slaughter fuel to power a Glominator 3000-inator. Speaking of syncing audio, this is the perfect segue into the next reason why this was hell, which was having to spend hours upon hours of listening to the mechanical voice of a clanker. Yeah, that's right, I said it. A clanker cracking awful jokes written by an even dumber AI. And listen, I know that I'm casting stones when it comes to sound quality, but at least I don't sound like I have an SOC where my heart should be. The next reason was the pay. And look, I'm not going to make myself out to be the victim, because I agreed to the terms of employment. But I gotta admit, getting 2 shingles as a week's wages for toiling away in the blistering hot sun on the content farm did kinda sting. Speaking of stinging sensations, I think it's only fair and fitting that we end this rant with an individual worthy of the highest acclaim, that being my employer, to whom we will just refer as Mr. Ree. You get it? You see what I did there? mystery. Contrary to what all of you might be thinking at this moment, Mr. E was actually a pretty nice guy. He was kind, and he made sure I didn't feel overworked by offering extensions on time limits if necessary. He was also an opportunistic cheapskate who sought to take advantage of struggling and starving freelancers and artists who were so desperate to make an extra buck they were willing to do immeasurable amounts of work in short amounts of time for a lousy sum of money. But hey, the world's not black and white, okay? Now, along with his penny-pinching principles and practices, he also lacked a basic understanding of the fundamental principles of art. And that's to be expected when you start a business churning out low-grade, low-effort garbage for the sole purpose of making a profit. But it just caused somewhat of a disconnect between us sometimes. Meaning he made certain requests and expected certain things to be done within the content without fully comprehending what such thing would entail. For example, he would ask me to draw a turtle doing a handstand. I would oblige. But when he sees the turtle doing the handstand, he isn't satisfied. Like, for some reason, my iteration of a turtle doing a handstand didn't touch the deepest, darkest parts of his soul. And then he'd ask me to change it. And when I'd ask, how? He'd just say something vague, like, make it more engaging. And for those of you who don't know, that's basically boss speak for figure it out yourself. And that would leave me extremely frustrated. Like, I have to jump through hoops and guess what image of a turtle doing a friggin' handstand would match the exact image in your mind? Like, dude, it's not my fault your cerebral cortex ran out of film. But in Mr. Ree's defense, he's not the only person who does this. When it comes to working in the animation or illustration scene, it's a common occurrence to try and figure out exactly what someone wants because the job basically entails bringing someone else's ideas to life. And that thing they said about being your own boss, not entirely true. Sure, you don't have to get up in the morning and sit through traffic just to get to work, but you still have to meet deadlines and do your best to meet someone else's expectations.